can become natural because these are aspects of our everyday existence. We've just been conditioned to ignore them and dismiss them for a variety of reasons.
Will you say the last part of that again because it broke up and it sounded important?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a poor connection here. It's so windy where I'm at. Um, trying to make the paranormal normal and the supernatural natural because these events are a natural part of our world and our existence. But we've been conditioned to ignore them or to rationalize them away. So my hope is that we can make it more comfortable and common so we can explore them and use them to our benefit.
Thank you, because that was important.
I tend to think so.
Well, it is. I mean, I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been experiencing things that I couldn't explain and knowing things I shouldn't know since I was little. I never once considered any of that to be psychic ability. I never considered it to be anything other than just knowing. A lot of it comes through deja vu. My grandmother knew that. This was the 60s and 70s, and she was New Age way before it was cool.
Right.
But she was who kind of let me know that it's not crazy, right? And you don't need to be afraid. This actually saved my life a lot of times. But people have such an attitude when you start talking about the paranormal, and it's not all ghosts and spirits and things that go clank in the night.
Right.
So supernatural and paranormal are hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that y'all are bringing that into the open and helping it become unusual but normal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of our goal. You know, it is our goal to make that more comfortable. And I think it's great that you had your grandmother to make you feel comfortable with that, because sometimes it only takes one person to say, hey, it's okay to experience that and that it was real. Sometimes you want that validation from somebody. That's why I think it's important for your listeners out there, if you have these experiences, to find somebody you're comfortable sharing it with and share it, even if it's on a blog or a forum somewhere. Because what we're missing out on, I believe, is our key to liberation and to helping us build a better future. Because there's a lot of manipulation out there. My research that I'm doing for my current book it was all about how we're being manipulated and controlled. And it was actually a work of despair that I was working on. And through my research, I ended up finding, wow, we are so powerful. We have so much hope. We're just not aware of it. And the more we can practice it and use it, I think the better off we'll be.
I agree. One of the things that I have learned through your blogging and your shows and all of the other things that y'all do, because I follow y'all religiously. And
we love it, Kat. We love it.
Well, I'll tell you that it is very rare for me to have co-creators of anything on back-to-back shows. I think that what y'all do matters so much that I want y'all to have this exposure, and I want y'all to have people aware of what you're doing, of what you're trying to do. And, you know, you and your partner, Ray Davis, are both able to take unusual and sometimes scary situations in the world and bring a positivity and a powerful outlook that you share. And you're right, there is so much power in individuals, but there's so much more power when we come together as a community.
Absolutely.
And you teach people how to do that and not to be afraid of it.
We try. We're trying, and I'm hoping that we're reaching, someone out there.
Well, I know that you are, because I see it and I hear people and I talk to people who follow the Affirmation Spot and people who listen to your shows. And by the way, the Seiker Podcast, Seiker. Go listen. But not now. Don't go now.
You got all the Seiker right here that you need.
Got all the Seiker you need right here. This is the guy. But it's powerful that you're reaching out and empowering others. So I just want to say thank you for rolling with that. It's cool.
Thank you. It's my honor. I really enjoy what we're doing. It gets hard sometimes, but I'll tell you, Ray is such an amazing person. He's just this fountain of inspiration. There's been a few times where I'm like, all right, that show was terrible. I've got 3 kids, 2 jobs. Like, I can't do it anymore. And then he'll send me a message the next day like, oh my gosh, you hit it out of the park last night. And I'm like, all right, I can't quit now. I mean, Ray really likes the show. I mean, there are times where I swear he's been my only listener sometimes, and he just motivated me to just keep going and building on the show to what it is now. So I'm forever grateful for him.
Well, just so you know, he's in the Spreaker chat, and he says you're sounding great.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, buddy.
I know you were worried because you had your cold. I don't think you sound like it, so I think you sound great, too.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I'm going through puberty again with my voice right now.
It's not that bad.
Okay,
I promise. Good. I would tell you.
Thank you.
I would say,
Excellent.
take a sip. But I'm not bashful. So
Excellent.
How did you move into the positivity and the flowing and the motivational and the esoteric from being a violent urban environment middle school teacher?
Well, I was always trying to, even as a police officer and as a counterintelligence agent, your goal in counterintelligence is to gather information. And at least in my experience, when I go try to intimidate somebody, they're not going to tell me everything I want to know. They may tell me the bare minimum to get me away from them, but they're not going to tell me everything I want to know. If I befriend somebody and I earn their trust and I show them respect, they're going to open up and I can ask any question comfortably. Mm-hmm. And not only that, I can turn my back and they're not going to try to hurt me. And the same thing on the street as a cop. If I treat you with respect and then the following week I'm fighting with somebody and you're behind me in a corner holding a knife and you realize, oh, that's Officer Nappi, he treated me with respect, you're not going to stab. You're less likely to stab me in the back. Everybody's a potential source of information. I don't mean that in the way that I'm using anybody. I mean it in my job as a cop was to improve the quality of life in a community. I can't do that by myself. I need the citizens of that community to work with me, to give me information, to run the trouble out of there and deal with it. So as an educator, I tried to bring that as well. If a student made a mistake, I said, well, I don't want to just throw the book at them and now they're going to shut down and now I can't teach this student. So we have to find a happy medium of administering an appropriate consequence because you just told me you're going to blow up my car and still maintaining our relationship. And it got to the point where my students knew if they messed up, they'd have detention with me, and detention usually ended up being kind of fun. I'd have them do a writing assignment, and then we'd talk about life, and then they'd go home. And so they still serve their consequence, lesson learned. And it got to the point where in the beginning of the year, kids were cursing all the time. By the end of the year, if a curse slipped out, my bad, Mr. Nappi, I'm sorry, no, you don't like that. And there was little things like that because I took the time to show them the respect. So that just kind of transfers over into how I do things now. And with, this worst case scenario that we tend to study sometimes, I mean, we always want to gravitate towards the fearful story, the Armageddons, the apocalypse, which comes up on my show. If that's going to happen, we can go out afraid and angry, or we can make the best of the time that we have left here. And then just talking with Ray and hearing his affirmations, again, inspires me and it keeps me in check because sometimes you want to go off the deep end on that angry rant, but that's not the message that I want to put out. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to get upset sometimes. It's okay to lose it. But what's our end goal here? Because what I found, everything is energy. And when you're putting out the negativity, you're fueling the negativity. Even if you say, well, I'm fighting evil. Well, evil begets evil. Isn't my favorite quote by Nietzsche? He says, be careful when fighting monsters that you yourself do not become a monster. For when you stare long enough into the abyss stares into you. And that always rings in my head with all these protests that people are going to, and
Yes.
they're standing for their cause, which is a beautiful thing, but then it turns angry because they're so passionate and they lose their focus, they lose their awareness of their energy. And what the Heart Math Institute tells us is that electromagnetism coming out of the heart is transferring emotional data, and we share that energetic field with one another. And it's what any empath will tell you they experience every time they walk out their front door. That's what it made so much sense to me why, as a cop, I'd walk in and know just what this person needs to hear to calm down, because I feel what they're feeling. So when you're at this protest situation and they're spewing the violent negativity, if you're not mindful of your own energy, well, now you're angry. Now you have just become the monster that you are fighting. So I try to be mindful of that with what I'm putting out. This is some scary stuff. This is some angry stuff. But we don't need to fight it. We need to do something different. Because if we fight it, we're part of the problem. As much as we might want to fight it with that emotional reaction.
Absolutely. And, I want to mention that I have someone that I consider a very dear friend who is one of the most mindful people that I know. She is a light worker for what that counts in this. I think it counts for a lot. She is an ET experiencer and enjoys that experience. She is generally so positive and wonderful with her outlook. And I had seen a lot of hatefulness and a lot of vitriol in her posting because of politics. And a lot of friends, doesn't matter what side you are, what doesn't matter if you really don't have a dog in the fight, it's still coming out everywhere as spewing. It's kind of like the step under New York and Ghostbusters 2, right? And we were talking one day and I said, you know what? You're a light worker. It's your job to make sure that this isn't something that is affecting everyone. We're supposed to be the change and to help with the change. And we're not supposed to be the ones that are egging on the hate. And there was just dead silence. And I was like, oh, I just lost that friend.
Maybe not, Kat. Maybe
I
not.
didn't.
It's what she needed. It's what she needed to hear.
Well, sometimes we do. It's like you're talking about in those crowds. There is groupthink and there is strength in numbers, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want for all of this stuff to always be good. Doesn't always work that way. And now we're at our second break.
Okay.
So this is 2 minutes and we will be right back.